day of a month that is compliance. So filling out compliance forms to say that you can or can't do this. You're supposed to have a consent to farm, which means I have no idea really that you're allowed to do this particular thing on your farm, even though it's what you've done every other year. You have nitrogen budgeting because they don't want you to throw too much nitrogen on, which is kind of defeatist, because if you throw too much on, you just waste it. Don't throw enough on, then you don't grow anything. Carbon credits, they're from forestry. You have your carbon. They put methane tax on, trying to put methane tax on cattle and sheep. Like your carbon tax on your vehicles that they have, all those sorts of things which don't help anyone at all. Making them more efficient, yes, definitely, but actually taxing them because of what they are is really stupid. I did go to one of the meetings when they were on carbon tax for trees, and they were like, yep, if you've got forestry you can get all these credits. And I said, what about all the posts that we put in? Can we get the credits for them because we're storing, because wooden posts are carbon? Oh no, you can't do that. It's what about building houses? It's all the wood that's in a house. No, can't do that. So they're very, the government were only on a growing plant. They're not, you can't store carbon, you can't do this. They're just, very confusing. Like a lot of the compliance is very, very confusing. They want us to use overseer for using what crops that we grow or sheep that we animals that we have on a paddock, that it's going to create this much phosphate loss and it's going to create this much nutrient of this kind. But to actually use that program, you need a PhD in it. The general Joe Blogs cannot use it, and they're like, anyone can use it, but you can't. You just come up with the wrong results.
It's a matter of knowing what you're doing rather than doing it wrong.
Yeah, and it's when you see to do that, you've got to, I think they're about $5,000 or $6,000 to get someone to do it for you. So that's just another cost that's of no use to anyone.
Okay, what does your day-to-day look like throughout the months?
So if we start, say, the 1st of June or the first week in June, we take all our animals down to start their winter feeding. So that is every morning until they'll come back up the hill in about the 15th, 16th of August. We already have bobby calves by then, so that's we don't get a day off until they finish. So from about the first week of June through to about mid to late October, we will have to be here for a period of hours. So it builds up, and probably in the next week or two, and sort of the start of August, we will get bobby calves. So at the moment, I think we're on about 4 hours. It takes us to do the fences. It'll be another 2 hours. So it'll be 6 hours we have to do a day, every day. Mm-hmm. And then the animals will come back here when they come back up in the late August. Although we don't have to shift their break fences, then we have to shift them every day. So that goes from 4 hours down to about an hour, and then lambing will start, and that'll go. For me, that's just I shed off, so I will shift the sheep once a day and leave any ewes with lambs behind. So that'll take between 1 and 2 hours, depending whether I have to shift any ewes and lambs or there's any problems with them. So the end of September, October, that's where the lambing is finished. We'll go tailing, so those hours that we're free from probably the start of October, we'll be tailing obs if we can, still dealing with the calves. And then you get into October, we finish sort of the end of October, we finish feeding the calves, and then they just get drenched every month. Then we start doing, so in August, September, we'll also start working up the ground that we want to plough in kale, and then we want to drilling kale, and barley and oats. And then in November we will start cutting baleage and hay, and we'll do that. That'll be every probably 2 or 3 weeks. It'll take 4 or 5 days to do the whole, go through all the baleage and that. November, so November will still be drenching calves once a month. They get shifted every 3 days, and their paddocks, the ewes, they won't take so much work then. We're sort of just making sure none of them have fly, go around them every 3 or 4 days, making sure that they're all happy, they've still got something to eat. Then December, we'll probably look at shearing late December, so we will that'll take probably 3 or 4 days, because by the time I've dagged all the ewes for them to be shorn, and then shearing shall only take us a day, but and then put them all away. Still, December you're still doing baleage, doing drenching and vaccinating calves. The January, end of December, January, wean the lambs, cut them down country where they can go on to rape and grass to fatten. January, harvesting barley, more baleage, and hay. And then end of February, we'll start drilling. So January would also start working up any ground on the hill that we want to plant for the year. And then in February, we'll plant winter feed oats and any grass or green feed oats that we want to plant up the hill. Still vaccinating the cattle. January, February, March, we sell the lambs as they get to weight. March, anything that's left of the lambs we'll sell as stores, so for someone else to fatten over winter. When we'll lock up all our paddocks for winter, and then we start a couple of weeks before the end of March, we start flushing the ewes with crushed barley so that they have more lambs, and then that ends a couple of weeks into April, or a week into April, when the rams go out the 1st of April. And then there's this maintenance until the 1st of June, when they keep checking them every day, and it's usually when the March, April, May is when we get to do all our gorse spraying and maintenance and fencing and things like that.
So other than obviously the good old way of the lambs coming out, how do you know what they're going to have? Because there's like a marking thing that you can do to find out how many lambs a sheep is going to have. Can you tell us a little bit about that? So
we can scan them. So a guy will come along with a scanner, so it looks like the same one that they use on women to look for babies, ultrasound, except he does it extremely fast. So it takes him roughly 10 seconds to decide if it's got 1, 2 or more. We don't ask them for the date that they're going to have the lambs. If they were doing dairy cows, they can give you it to within 2 or 3 days of when they're going to calve. And so on them we'll have marks. Blue is generally a dry one, so she's got no lambs. And then we had sort of red would be singles, and then green as earlies, and then yellow I think was triplets. So we can cut the mobs up so that the ones that are having multiples can have more lambs, more food for their lambs than a single ewe doesn't need that much food.
So it's basically trying to get the ratio right, because you're going to have less sheep that are going to have triplets, so you're going to group them all together and try and give them more food by putting them in the same size paddock. So
we'll separate these ones that are having one lamb, the singles, we'll take them out, and all our multiples will be left together. And we'll feed the multiples more than we'll feed the singles. The singles literally can live on nothing. Not that we do that, but they could do. It would not be ideal. But they don't need a lot of food. whereas the multiples let an awful lot. For us, I tend to take the triplet lambs off, take one of them off when I see them, which might seem cruel, but from my experience, if I leave all three on, I usually end up with two of them dying.
Because sheep only have 2 teats compared to cows that have 4.
That's right. Yeah. So though they can handle having 3 lambs, there's always one that'll do badly, and quite often she'll be looking after one and lose the other 2. So I've found if you just take one off, we all 3 survive, and then we find a ewe that's had a dead lamb and we give her a lamb.
So by taking them off, what's done with them? What's they're taken away?
So I give them to you and you feed them. So we bring them in. It depends what sort of state they're in. If they are wet and cold, then they'll all come inside and they'll get warmed up by the fire. When they're nice and warm and dry, we feed them with a bottle. So we'll probably feed them 4, if not 5 times a day. And then they go sit out in our shed, which has got a light in it, and it actually keeps them nice and warm, and on a bit of hay until we can find them a mum and put them on mum. And
we have had quite a few interesting instances of nearly dead cold lambs coming in and being by the fire, and then later them running around the house and peeing on the carpet.
Yep, that quite often happens. You think that they're just about dead, and you kind of forget about them. They're just lying there in front of the fire, and they all of a sudden, oh, I'm alive. I'll just come around. It's one of those really cool things when you see it. You've picked up a lamb that's obviously wet and cold. You carried it for probably half an hour in your pocket, and you come back to the house and you start to give it just that little bit of milk, and it's like it probably only needs like 20 mils, and you can see its whole body shaking, and it's just like love and life. It's like, oh, that's the best thing it's ever had in its life. Mind you, its life's only been like half an hour, and they come around, and it's amazing to watch. These things are nearly dead, like they're to the point their eyes have rolled back and they've got no colour, and all of a sudden you give them a wee bit of milk, a bit of warmth. Oof, way to go. And it's hilariously funny when they get up and race around the house because no one's been watching them or forgot to put the lid on the box.
Because we use washing baskets on the top of them to try and keep them contained for the more lively ones. That doesn't stop quite a lot of chaotic energy. Sorry, Mum. But what happens if we can't put a lamb on a mother? Like, you can't get them.
So we feed them milk powder until we do. If we have to have them for that, the point that we can't get them on a mum, at 6 weeks old we'll wean them off milk powder. So we start, they will start getting a little bit of crushed barley and when they start eating grass, and as long as they are doing really well, then they will transition onto just grass and pasture really well.
How do you get a lamb to bond with a mother that's not theirs?
Well, usually I wipe the lamb I've got on the mother's ass as much as I can to get as much smell on it as I can. And then we build these things, we call them A-frames. They literally look like a wee shelter that one ewe can fit inside of. She can't get away. A wooden A-frame with planks on it, and just about heavy enough that she can't move it. The beauty of them is that you can move them around to give them a bit of grass if you want to. Over the years, we've found that if you chuck them a cover over them, make it dark, then they will take them a lot better. And the A-frames they've got slats in them, so you can reach through and put the lamb on the teat. Once the lamb starts drinking off the mother's milk, it gets her smell, and then they're into it. The fastest one we've ever had actually jumped into the lamb pen, stole a lamb that was in the pet lambs, ran out and was gone up the paddock and took it with her. So never ever touched it at all. I have no idea what happened there. But usually half an hour they can take them, or most of them are a day, maybe 2 at the most.
And if they don't, we just take the lamb back?
Yep. So you'd know they headbutt them, they beat them, and it's like, no, I'm not having that. We don't leave them in there very long. You can tell. And if the lamb starts to go backwards, like you can't make it drink, or it's not fighting to drink, then you know that it's time that can't go in there. With her, you just have to take them back out and build them back up on milk powder and either try again or they become a permanent pet.
Okay. So we're down to our final question. How do you prepare for extreme weather events? Because recently there's been a couple. There's been up in Nelson and all around there. We've had a couple floods in Canterbury. Snowstorms are always quite epic. So, yeah, what do you do?
I probably learned my lesson back before when I was actually at high school in the '92 snow. It was a year, quite a bad year, because for the autumn there was no food. A lot of the summer had been a drought as well. There was not, I remember there being 12 bales of hay left in the shed when we finished the winter, and it's like, oof. We only just made it. A lot of people truck stuff in. So from then on, it was always, let's allow that bit of fat in the system for extreme weather, because that was one of the first main extreme weather events I ever can remember.
Just for reference, how many bales would you normally have?
So this year we had 650 bales of baleage. I've allowed about 40 for a snowstorm, which is really excessive. But I know that I can always feed it out. But yeah, so when we do our budgeting of how much hay and baleage we want, always in the back of my mind is, okay, what's the worst that can happen? And that would be the worst. It was 2 weeks of snow. There was no grass, nothing for anything to eat for 2 weeks, but snow. It was a very, very interesting experience to go through. We'd put all our ewes up against the gorse hedges for shelter, because it blew so hard. The snow drifts were the same height as the gorse hedges, but out in the middle of the paddock, it was only about 4 inches deep. And so we were snow raking. We'd literally walk up from the middle of the paddock, walk up to a gorse fence and see if we could find the tunnels that the sheep were in. And they were in quite happy tunnels, but they just had nothing to eat. So we did a lot of, you'd feed out for them, you'd drive up to it, try not to run anything over, things like that. So that started off all this having extra. A lot of people forget, especially the young farmers. They've not experienced that. They go, my computer program tells me I need 100 bales to do the year. That's great, but you probably needed 10% more as just a buffer, because when you want it, no one has it. So then things like wind is damaging to all your fences. Just taking trees out, making access difficult, and things like floods. Roughly it's when it's going to rain. For us, we know that anything over 50 mils of rain, we're going to get a slight flood. Probably a good time to move our animals out of where it's going to flood. And being aware, always looking at the weather and just being aware what's coming. So you might have to graze those paddocks early, because you know that there's rain's coming. So if we graze them today, it's going to rain heavily. In 2 or 3 days' time, we can be gone and back up and somewhere where they're out of that danger zone.
So it's all about predicting what's going to happen and making sure, even if it's like a random, complete freak event, that you still have the food no matter what. Yeah.
So we do the baleage. We also now have the ability to feed barley and crushed barley. So those snowstorms, that was one thing that we didn't have. We don't sell our barley until August, when the chance, or the end of August, when the chance of actually running into a snowstorm or one of those things is very, very slim. The benefits of it are that it's instant energy. It's just like giving them lollies. You can see we've done it a few times in some of the snowstorms where you go out there and all the ears on the sheep are down. You can just tell that they are really depressed. And you go and feed them some barley and they're all happy. The ears are out, still cold, they're still hungry, but they've got energy. And it's like, that makes such a big difference to them. They go, oh, yay, I can go and do this now.
So your main thing is having that food. That's how you prepare for it.
Yeah. So to me, it's knowing that what could happen, and for whatever event is coming, is being prepared for it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for joining us at Harvest Headlines today. Is there any lasting advice you want to give any farmers or anything?
No, as long as you've got a great passion for it, you will do well.
Okay. Thank you very much, Craig.
You're welcome.
That wraps up this episode of Harvest Headlines. A huge thank you to Craig Robertson, my father, for sharing his experience and giving us a real glimpse into life as a sheep farmer in Canterbury. It's clear that sheep farming is more than just a job. It's a lifestyle built on hard work, resilience, and a deep connection to the land. From changing markets to evolving farming practices, Craig's insights show us that just how much the industry has changed over time, and how important it is that we continue to support and understand the people behind our food and fibre. We hope this episode has given you a better appreciation for sheep farming, not just here in New Zealand, but globally. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to follow Harvest Headlines on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening from. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube at Harvest Headlines. We'd love to hear your thoughts, feedback, or ideas for future episodes. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, keep elevating agriculture.